So Republican Senator Mitt Romney was brutally booed and, according to people in the room, called a traitor by Republicans at the Utah State Republican Convention this weekend. You have to hear this. And we're kind of on a search for answers to a very seemingly simple question. That question is whether the Republican Party is the party of Donald Trump. Is it still the party of Donald Trump? Or will the Republican Party go back to being the party of someone like Mitt Romney, people like Romney, John McCain, and the like? One data point has been the really consistent polling where the vast majority of the Republican electorate still says, we like Trump. We believe Trump won in 2020. We would vote for Trump again. We want Trump to remain involved in politics. That's one data point. Utah held its Republican convention this weekend, and there was not only an attempt to censure Mitt Romney by Republicans, which almost passed. More on that in a second. Romney was extensively booed by his own fellow Republicans, interrupting his speech multiple times. Take a look at this video. Take a listen to this audio.
So what do you think about President Biden's first 100 days? Now, you know me as a person who says what he thinks, and I don't hide the fact that I wasn't a fan of our last president's character issues. And I'm also no fan. Aren't you embarrassed? And I'm also no fan of the...
Yeah, that is really something else. You know, in the relatively anti-Trump Republican state of Utah, Utah is not, I don't know, what's a state where, I mean, like South Carolina Republicans like Trump much more than Utah Republicans like Trump. And even in the relatively anti-Republican Trump state of Utah, Romney is still booed relentlessly. And those very Republicans pushed a motion to censure Mitt Romney because he had the audacity to think for himself in the Trump impeachment trials and vote to convict on some of those counts. So they held a vote to censure Romney. It failed, but barely, 798 to 711, really close vote, given that these are supposedly anti-Trump Republicans. Romney reportedly left the venue almost immediately after finishing his speech. And of course, the real question here is, what does this mean for the future of the Republican Party? I don't know that it's totally obvious that rejecting the Romney wing is necessarily bad for the Republican Party. What I mean by that is Trump individually completely backfired for Republicans. Trump got elected in 2016. Republicans lost the House in 2018. Republicans lost the Senate in 2020. Republicans lost the White House in 2020. But Trumpism, and by that I mean no policy, you just fight cultural battles, you oppose the libs, you try to anger people on the left, that may have more staying power as an approach if people other than Trump are the ones pushing it. We just don't have an answer yet. 2022 will be a partial answer. Do people in the Romney wing get removed in 2022? And do people in the Trumpian wing, like Lauren Boebert, Madison Taylor Greene, Madison Cawthorn, get reelected? Notice that Mitt Romney's views have not really changed much since 2012 when he was the Republican nominee. Most of the people in that room who are booing him now, if they were old enough to vote in 2012, voted for Mitt Romney. This is more a sign of how off the deep end the Republican electorate is. It's similar, actually, to, remember the situation with the late Senator John McCain. John McCain was a very popular Arizona Republican senator, was the Republican presidential nominee in 2008, lost to Barack Obama. They chose him to be their nominee in 2008. All of them, almost all of them voted for McCain in the general election. And then just 8 years later in 2016, when Trump starts with, I prefer war heroes who didn't get captured, and Trump ridicules McCain's military service, a lot of those same Republicans were cheering when Donald Trump went after McCain in 2016. Now, it is true that Sarah Palin, McCain's vice presidential running mate in 2008, was a sort of proto-Trumpian figure. But regardless, consider the trajectory. These same Republican voters are now calling one of their previous nominees a communist in Mitt Romney. That all being said, Trump activated new people who never participated in politics before. So some of the boos you're hearing are presumably people who simply weren't engaged at all in 2008 and 2012, but many were. And now they've decided the people we thought were the good choices in 2008 and 2012, now we boo them. Now we call them communists. Now we call them traitors. The same Republicans who do not care at all about policy, but are about how bad cancel culture is, now are loudly trying to cancel any Republican who's even mildly normal. And that's the way I would describe Mitt Romney. Cautiously, I would say he's mildly normal. 2022 is going to be wild, and it's going to be really significant in terms of the future of the Republican Party, and we're going to be watching it.